I woke to the sheet shifting, unseen hand sliding across my waist, and a breath at my ear whispering, "Mine." But the true horror of that night was still waiting in the dark. That night, exhaustion weighed heavy on me, but the moment I lay down, I sensed it. The strange density in the air that told me I wasn't alone. My body ached for sleep, yet the silence around me felt too deliberate, too charged. I pulled the blanket higher, tucking myself in, but as I shifted, my shirt rode up, leaving a strip of skin bare. A small detail meaningless on any other night, but the air that touched me there was not cold. It was warm, lingering, almost intimate. I told myself to stay calm, to breathe, to believe it was nothing more than nerves. But the quiet was too heavy, pressing down on me, listening. My chest rose in shallow bursts, and no matter how I tried to steady my breath, it kept catching in my throat. That's when the first sign came. The mattress dipped. At first it was so subtle I thought it was me. But no, this was careful, slow, deliberate, like someone had lowered their weight onto the bed, cautious not to startle me. My stomach knotted, every nerve on fire. I froze, afraid that even the smallest movement would confirm I was awake. Then came the touch. It was faint, like fingertips brushing along my thigh, tentative, yet claiming. My skin shivered, goosebumps racing upward as the contact lingered longer than it should have. I bit down on my lip, refusing the gasp that built in my chest. But I couldn't stop the way my body trembled. I wanted to tell myself it wasn't real, but the sensation was undeniable, warm, deliberate, patient. The mattress sank deeper, knees pressing into either side of me. My pulse hammered, the sound so loud it drowned out everything else. And then hot breath curled across my neck. Not a draft, not imagination. Breath. My hands clutched the blanket, nails biting into fabric, as though clinging to it could keep me safe. But even as I held on, a part of me knew it was useless. The blanket wasn't protection, it was permission. The presence leaned closer, savoring the way I stiffened beneath its unseen weight. And then a whisper, low, steady, too close. Not words I could clearly understand, but sound curling through me with the weight of intent. My throat tightened, my lips parted, and in that moment I realized with chilling clarity, this was no dream. The night had only just begun. The mattress pressed deeper, as if the presence had fully claimed the space beside me. My lungs struggled, each breath shallow and broken, while the heat at my neck grew heavier. Then the touch returned, no longer tentative, fingers gliding over my hip in a slow, claiming line that left fire in their wake. I gripped the blanket until my knuckles burned, but the harder I clung, the more deliberate the contact became. A graze across my stomach, a pause at the edge of my ribs, the kind of touch that didn't ask, it announced. Fear knotted my insides, yet beneath it pulsed something darker, shameful and undeniable. I whispered, "Stop," but even I couldn't tell if it was a plea or an invitation. The scent thickened, earthy, sweet, intoxicating. I breathed it in without meaning to, dizzy as it coiled through me. My body trembled, not only from terror, but from the unbearable pull I couldn't fight. And then came the rehook, the moment I thought nothing worse could happen. Because that's when the mattress shifted harder, unseen knees pressing into either side of me, pinning me in place. My heart slammed against my ribs as heat hovered at my ear, a breath curling deliberate, steady. The whisper followed, not spoken aloud but vibrating through me. Mine. The word echoed in my bones, sending shivers racing through every part of me. I arched involuntarily, shame scorching my cheeks even in the dark. The presence seemed to savor it, pressing closer, holding me still with a weight that refused to be denied. My hands clawed at the sheets, desperate to reclaim control, but the blanket was already sliding lower, tugged away inch by inch. Cold air licked my skin, leaving me bare and trembling. I wanted to scream, to break free, but my voice was gone, every sound trapped in my throat. All that remained was my shaking breath and the cruel patience of what lingered over me. Another touch traced upward, slow and intentional, stopping just short of where terror and forbidden desire collided. My pulse faltered, my body betraying me once more. And then in the silence, the lamp flickered, once, twice. A dim glow trembled against the walls, and for the briefest instant I saw it, a shadow, leaning over me, its form bending closer. My eyes widened, but before I could move, the light died again. Darkness swallowed the room whole, leaving me alone, or not alone at all. The darkness swallowed me whole. The flicker of the lamp had been my only proof that I wasn't losing my mind, and now even that was gone. My chest rose and fell in frantic bursts, every inhale catching like barbed wire in my lungs. The mattress shifted again, deliberate and heavy, and I felt the weight creep closer, inch by inch, until it pressed directly against me. My body stiffened, paralyzed, yet I felt everything. Invisible fingers slid slowly up my thigh, tracing lines that burned across my skin. The touch lingered, possessive, as though testing how much I would endure. My hands trembled as they clawed at the sheets, but the presence only pressed harder, savoring the way I shook beneath it. I whispered, "No," my voice barely a breath, but the word dissolved in the air. The answer came instantly, another breath at my ear, warm, steady, curling down my spine like fire. Then the whisper followed, silent but undeniable. Mine. The sound pulsed inside my chest, echoing in my bones, and I couldn't stop the shiver that tore through me. The blanket slipped lower, tugged by hands I could not see. Cold air washed over my skin, leaving me exposed, trembling, and utterly helpless. My pulse thundered in my throat, and shame burned hotter than the fear itself, because my body betrayed me again, arching ever so slightly into the empty air, as though craving what terrified me most. The scent deepened, earthy, sweet, intoxicating, filling my lungs, dulling my reason, clouding every thought. I gasped for clarity, but the air itself was poison, drawing me deeper into its claim. My heartbeat roared, my breath came ragged, and when the unseen weight pressed harder into the mattress, I realized the truth. I wasn't just haunted, I was possessed. But then came the real horror. The bed frame creaked, low and steady, as though something shifted its weight closer still. The presence leaned over me, pressing until I felt its heat hovering directly above my lips. My chest locked, my body quaked, every nerve screaming for release. I braced myself for contact I couldn't allow but couldn't escape, and then suddenly it was gone. The warmth vanished, the scent dissolved, the pressure lifted all at once, leaving me gasping in the suffocating silence. For one fragile moment, I believed I was free. My hand shook as I pushed myself upright, eyes darting to every corner of the room. The dresser, the chair, the curtains, all motionless, ordinary, harmless. But when I looked down at the foot of the bed, I froze. 2 deep indentations remained pressed into the blanket. Knees. Perfectly still, perfectly real. My breath caught, my chest constricted, and I could only stare as the marks began to drag forward, inch by inch, closer, toward me. I tried to scream, but no sound left my throat, my body locked in place, my pulse pounding so violently it blurred my vision. The indentations reached the edge of my legs, and then, just as suddenly, they vanished. The fabric smoothed, the silence thickened, and I was left alone with the certainty that I wasn't alone at all. Even now, when I close my eyes, I wait for it, the warmth of its breath, the slide of unseen hands, the whisper at my ear that claims me over and over again. Because once something like this touches you, you never truly sleep alone. Have you ever felt something brush against you in the dark? Share your story in the comments. I want to know. Subscribe to Paranormal Sleep for more terrifying midnight encounters, because the next story might be yours.